At 8 o'clock on a summer evening, an outnumbered Highland army began running downhill. Below them stood thousands of government soldiers, muskets levelled, bayonets ready, and the narrow Pass of Killiecrankie behind them. Within minutes the government line would be shattered, but the victory would cost the Jacobites the one man they could least afford to lose. This is the Battle of Killiecrankie, fought on the 27th of July 1689, Bonnie Dundee's greatest victory, and the triumph that helped doom his cause. The crisis began the previous year. James VII of Scotland and II of England had been driven from his kingdoms. William of Orange and James's daughter Mary took the throne, but many Scots still believed their oath belonged to James. They became known as Jacobites from Jacobus, the Latin form of James. In Scotland, their most dangerous leader was John Graham of Claverhouse, Viscount Dundee. Admirers remembered him as Bonnie Dundee. His Covenanter enemies called him Bloody Clavers. He was an experienced cavalry officer, charismatic, ruthless, and utterly committed to the exiled king. Through the spring and summer of 1689, Dundee rode across the Highlands gathering support. Clan Cameron under Sir Ewan Cameron of Lochiel became the core of his army. MacDonalds, Macleans and other clans joined them. Major General Hugh Mackay led the government pursuit. He too was a veteran of European warfare. For weeks Mackay and Dundee manoeuvred through the glens, each searching for an advantage. Their race finally carried both armies towards Blair Castle. Mackay marched north through the wooded Pass of Killiecrankie, with between 3,500 and 5,000 men, supported by 3 light leather guns. Dundee approached with roughly 2,400. As Mackay's troops emerged from the gorge, scouts saw Jacobites on the high ground. The government army climbed a steep, scrub-covered slope and deployed on a terrace near Urard. Mackay stretched his line across nearly a mile. That left his soldiers only 3 ranks deep, instead of the customary 6. Above them, Dundee arranged the smaller Jacobite army along the hillside. Then both sides waited. The setting sun shone into the Jacobites' faces, so Dundee delayed the attack. For hours, insults and scattered musket fire crossed the slope. The government soldiers could see the Highlanders above them, but could not know when the charge would come. Mackay's men were experimenting with modern tactics, including platoon firing. They also carried plug bayonets, the weapon fitted into a musket's barrel, turning it into a spear, but preventing the soldier from firing another shot. Against a fast Highland charge, choosing the moment to fix it could be fatal. At about 8 in the evening, the sunlight finally dropped behind the hills. The Jacobite line moved. Highlanders descended in 3 great groups, gathering speed across the rough ground. Many fired a close volley, then came on with broadswords, axes and round targes. Their war cries rolled down the slope. Government regiments fired into them. Smoke swallowed the field. On parts of the line the redcoats held briefly, but the Jacobites crossed the killing ground before many soldiers could reload or fix their bayonets. Dundee led a tiny mounted force, perhaps 40 riders, into the government centre. The collision broke Mackay's overstretched line. Some regiments fled almost at once, others were surrounded in savage close fighting. The rout poured back towards the pass. Government soldier Donald McBain later claimed that, pursued to the River Garry, he escaped by leaping 18 feet across the rushing water. The place is still known as Soldier's Leap. Mackay survived and forced his way from the field with a remnant of his army. The Jacobites had won an astonishing victory against a larger, professionally trained force. But as Dundee rode through the drifting musket smoke, he was struck by a ball beneath his arm. He fell mortally wounded. The battle had been won. Its architect was dying. Losses were appalling, although surviving estimates disagree. Government casualties probably ran into the thousands, while hundreds of Jacobites were killed or wounded. Dundee's death was the greater strategic loss. Without his leadership, the rising could not turn victory into lasting success. The Jacobites were checked at Dunkeld the following month, and the first rising collapsed by 1690. Killiecrankie nevertheless changed military thinking. The defeat exposed the weakness of the plug bayonet and helped accelerate adoption of the socket bayonet, which allowed a musket to fire while the blade remained fixed. It also gave the Highland charge a terrifying reputation. that would echo through later Jacobite campaigns. On that July evening, Bonnie Dundee achieved exactly what he had wanted, a decisive victory. But Scotland remembered the cruel paradox. At Killiecrankie, the Jacobites won the field, and lost the man who might have changed their future.